Now I feel on top of the world, on fire and confident. Because of that, I'm going to drink this weekend and eat a bunch of junk food. Working out, eating healthy are the habits that made me feel the best I felt in decades. So what am I going to do to reward myself? The thing that causes depression and misery. I'm going to stop doing the thing that made me feel so good. But we all make that justification to ourselves. Feeling bad isn't the biggest enemy. Feeling good is the biggest enemy. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Rising Father podcast. I'm Chris Rodak. I'm talking to you today about one of the most important mental strategies that we can use to overcome our own self-sabotaging techniques, patterns, and strategies. Something I've realized that I do on the daily, something that I coach with my guys inside Men of Fire, things I'm teaching my kids, and that is understanding that every single day and really every single hour, we're kind of becoming a different person. And the goals we make in one phase of our life, in 1 hour of our life, might not make sense to us tomorrow, exact same hour. Maybe you go to sleep at 10 p.m. and you tell yourself right before you go to sleep, I'm going to wake up tomorrow at 5 a.m. I'm going to hit the gym. And, I haven't done it for years, but tomorrow's the day I do it. You're super motivated. You just saw a Rising Father post, and you're ready to do it. You just saw what the unbelievable fathers inside Men of Fire are accomplishing. You're like, I want to be like them. So you say, okay, I'm going to wake up early. So you wake up at 5. You set your alarm for 5 a.m. You go to sleep. The alarm goes off 5 a.m. and you're not motivated anymore. At this moment, inside your head, inside your body, you don't give a damn about these goals. You don't care. You have no motivation right now. You're like, why would I get up? I'm tired. A tired person is supposed to sleep. So why would I not sleep right now? Like, I don't know why that version of me last night wanted to get up early and go to the gym. I sure as hell don't feel like doing that. I don't know who that guy was. This situation happens many, many times in countless areas of our life. Take this situation, put it to your finances, put it to starting a business, reaching out to people, making cold calls, having a conversation with your wife, whatever it is. Doing something hard that you know could change your life. You do that in a motivated state. For example, we're doing a fasting challenge in my program, Men of Fire, right now. We do weekly challenges. Last week we did a 12,000 a day step challenge because everyone does 10,000, so we did 12,000. So we did that for 7 days, and this week's challenge is a fasting challenge. So you can do any time limit you want. If it's your very first fasting challenge, I don't care, fast for 8 hours if you've never gone 4 hours without eating. So I'm calling it a 3-day fasting challenge, but you can do any time limit you want. Some guys started early. The general timeline was yesterday. So I started yesterday at 12:30, it's 11 o'clock now, and I'm recording, so like 23 hours ago. Whenever you start a fast, you're fine. You feel good. You feel great. Whenever you think about doing a fast, it's always a good idea. Like, yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to make me feel good, cleanse myself, kill all those cancer cells, and add longevity like they talk about. When you see people on YouTube talking about a fast, they're always in great spirits. Like, yeah, I just did a 100-day fast. It was great, blah, blah, blah. When you're in the midst of it and you get those hunger pangs, you question that person. Like right now, I'm only a day in, and I was doing a weekly check-in with one of my guys, and we were talking about food, and I was describing all these good foods to eat that can make you feel full, and I was like, this voice came to my head and said, oh, yeah, you didn't eat lunch yet. It was like a really excited inner voice. It's like, Chris, remember, you didn't eat lunch yet. You get to eat lunch in an hour. And then I remind myself, no, you don't get to eat lunch for another 48 hours. That'll be Wednesday at 12:30 is when I get to break my fast. So I was like, oh, I don't get to eat. I am not as motivated or inspired as I was when I first started this thing. And that was a different person than this is right now. That guy felt fine. He was full. You know, I remember I ate at 12:30. I made tacos with my whole family. And it was like, all right, start my fast. You know. But I've done it enough times to understand what happens to the brain, what happens to your motivation and inspiration, that it gets hard. Like, I've done a lot of fasts now, and I know it gets hard. I've done 6-day fasts, 7 days is my most. And I know the swings of dopamine and energy and wisdom. That's the phases you go through. So you start out super inspired, and then it changes. Like you change as you go throughout your life. That's the same thing that happens with what I'm talking about. You're actually you feel like a different person. You don't understand that previous guy. So what you have to do is state your goals and vision to yourself. This is how you can get past this, I know what to do, but I just can't do it bullshit. Or I know I should get out of bed, but I don't want to. Or I was motivated at nighttime, unmotivated in the morning. And then whenever 5 hours later, when I was at work, I have regret because I realized I could have gotten up and gone to the gym. I was just being lazy. And you realize this, then you have regret, and then you build your momentum all day. It's dinner time. You eat healthy at dinner. You're like, yeah, man, this is going to be the day. And then it's nighttime. You make that same goal for 5 a.m. the next day. The alarm goes off. You're not excited. Once again, you are thinking different thoughts. You have none of the same feelings, thoughts. You have none of the same feelings or thoughts as the guy who made that goal. So once again, you sleep in. And then many times this can happen for 20, 30 years or more. Sometimes you have this slow acceptance that you're a person who will never do that. So you just stop trying. You know, in your 30s and 40s, this is like, okay, this is make or break time. Some people call it midlife crisis. For me, I'm starting to think that that's a really bad framing of what this is. It is a midlife pivot. I'm realizing it's a choosing of your identity. It's who am I going to be for the second half of my life? Let's just use 40 because it's a good even number. The first 40 years of my life painted a certain picture, but it's only half done. For the next 40 years of my life, am I going to complete that picture, or am I going to throw that picture away and make a different picture? You have that choice. You can do that in your 30s and 40s. Some guys do it in their 50s. But it's accepting who you're going to be. It's what story is going to be me. For me, I completely changed my story. The path I was going down was the path of the fat, miserable, work-obsessed band director who is, bitches about his job, can't wait to retire. That was what I could have became. I didn't let myself do that. Even whenever I allowed myself to get out of shape, I still understood that was a potential life for me, and I didn't want that to happen. So I actively chose different things. Every year I was a teacher, I was still considered myself different. I was like, I'm not like everybody else. That's how I saw myself, as my identity. It's like, I'm not like these other people. Because remember, I started out my very first year in my first job. Very first year, I did P90X, and I was shredded. I was single-digit body fat, did P90X 3 times, felt amazing, and then I got married. So I started out teaching, unbelievably disciplined and in shape. Over the next years, I gained weight, became a little more undisciplined, but I still had that inner identity of that shredded, disciplined guy. Even all the way down through college, I worked my ass off at saxophone. I was the best saxophone player because I practiced so much. I have memories of myself in grade school, winning grade school races that that are proof to myself. Like they're proof to me of who I really am. And I hold on to those things. It's like, no, that's who you are. That's who you are. You're not your mistakes. You're not your failures. This is who you are. So do that. Mine yourself for these examples. But whenever I was a teacher, I always saw these people. I was like, that could be you. I never thought that was going to be me, but I thought that warning sign was like, no, that could be you. And it terrified me. There were these, I remember being a 20s band director in great shape still, and just going to these festivals with band directors from all around Pennsylvania, and like 90% of them, 9 out of 10 of them, just miserable, so upset, so antisocial, so overweight, so unhealthy. And then, you'd be like, well, what are we going to do after this? Oh, let's go to a bar and drink. Let's not go home to our wives and kids. Let's eat more. Let's drink more. Then let's spend more time at school. Let's spend more time at work. So a lot of these people called the kids their family. Like the students are like, yeah, this is my family. It's like, no, you have a real family, and you're neglecting them through time and by who you're allowing yourself to become. You're neglecting all of them. Your job is not your family. You're calling it your family because you're neglecting your real family, and you need a family. But it's easier to pretend here at work than it is to do the hard work at home. So I saw that. Every single year of my job, I saw that. And I had to keep on reminding myself, you're not going to be that. Or it was also, you're going to be that if you stay here. My first 5 years of working, I was like, okay, I could do this forever. And then I was like, no, I can't. Then it changed. But I still stayed at that job for another 8, 9, whatever it was, 8 to 10 years after I realized I wanted to leave. Like every year, I was like, no. In my head, it was like, all right, you're going to start making a plan. I started seeing myself, and I remember telling Sarah this. I was still in my 20s, and I told my wife, I said, I'm not going to be a teacher forever. I said, I'm going to learn something new. And that's why 7, 8 years ago, I reached out to a coach, made the biggest investment I've ever made on a credit card, and paid him to teach me how to make an ad agency, because at that point, I was like, I had that identity of not a teacher, of not a 9-to-5 person. Like, no, you're an entrepreneur. You're somebody you don't need the safety. And I saw myself that way, so I invested in myself, and I made a bunch of money with my ad agency, and then lost it all because I was a bad business person. I learned the skills, but not the other necessary things of being a business person. And then COVID happened. I lost every single client. So throughout this time period, I was disciplined at times, undisciplined at times. It was like a roller coaster. Some months and years I was more in shape than others. If I look back through Google Photos, we've got 100,000 videos and photos of basically my life from 30 or from 26, whatever it is, on, and millions of our kids. And you could see, okay, some years it was like, okay, this is when Chris was fat. This is when Chris was in shape. This was when Chris was disciplined. This is when Chris was not disciplined. And it just goes up and down. You never know. I never gave up on myself, though. Even though I struggled at times, I never gave up on myself. I still had that inner identity of, no, you are going to be able to look back at your job and say, no, you used to be a teacher. You're going to start a business. You're going to leave this financial... You're going to overcome this financial problems that you're having at home. You're going to get ripped. You're going to get in shape. We always had this inner identity and story of who I was going to become. And it finally happened once I changed my environment, once I stopped going it alone so much, once I joined programs and hired more coaches, and surrounded myself with people who were living like the person I wanted to become. And then and the biggest change was me realizing what I teach all the guys in my group, and that is just, it's all internal. It's 100% how I saw myself. That's looking back on this past 2 decades of my life, and reinforced by the hundreds of guys I've worked with now. That is, to me, it's just truth. Nothing matters more than our identity, which are how we see ourselves, what we believe is possible for us. To take us back to the beginning of this, whenever, like the extreme challenge, and I'm sorry I'm like kind of like disjunct as I'm talking, because this isn't, these are thoughts that I'm creating with you. These are philosophies and ways of thinking that I'm experiencing in real life. This isn't something I read in a textbook from like a psychology degree that I never had. These are what I've learned through my own transformation, by being really observant of my own life, by journaling, and by working one-on-one with guys for the past years now. So you'll find yourself today motivated, today not, and tomorrow not motivated. Like today you'll be on fire on top of the moon, and then tomorrow you won't be. So then what do you do? How do you make a battle plan? How do you actually move ahead when you're not motivated, when you're not inspired? You need to write down what you want to do, state it to the universe, and whenever you don't feel motivated, not inspired, and you're questioning that guy, you're like, who the hell was that guy that made that goal? That's not me. I don't want to do that. Just follow the plan. Do exactly what you did. I was just doing a weekly check-in with a guy, and you kind of report weekly, okay, I had this many workouts, this many days, I hit my nutrition. And he said he did 6 out of 7 days on his nutrition. So he had 6 out of 7 days just nailing his nutrition. He did 7 out of 7 days doing his workouts, which is unbelievable. Before he started, he was doing 0 workouts a week and 0 days hitting any kind of nutrition, plus drinking. So 1,000% opposite direction. But now he's so on fire, he's so in this zone, he's so surrounded by people who think this way, that like his comment to me, he's like, I only did 6 out of 7 days nailing my nutrition. I need to go all in next week. I need to do 7 out of 7. So I'm going to help him get there. That's my job. As a coach, that's my job, is to help him get there. And he kind of was like, yeah, on the 7th day, this thing came up at home, and I told myself basically I deserved it. I deserved to go off. So the battle is, today I want to do 7 out of 7 days. Today's, when I'm recording this is Monday. What happens when Thursday comes around and your wife's like, hey, let's go out and get some cheesecake and wine? It's a beautiful day outside. It's beautiful. He's already lost like 50 pounds. He's lost that survival mode mentality where he's kind of a little desperate and fearful. And he's like, I need to change my life right now. So he's in the best shape that he's been in a decade. And Thursday comes around, let's say, and it's beautiful out. Things are going good with his wife, with his kids. And she's like, yeah, let's go out and get some wine and cheesecake. And he's like, well, I just nailed the past 4 days. I just did really good the past 4 days. What does it matter just to get some wine and cheesecake? And then say he does that, and then his weekly reflection comes around the next week on Sunday, and he's looking back on his week, and he says to himself, damn it. Once again, I let 1 day slip by. I wanted to get to this next level. I wanted to hit 7 out of 7 days. That was my goal. Why did I do that? It's like, okay, well, why did you do that? Because you changed as a person on that day. You had different beliefs. You had different goals. You believed different things about yourself. You questioned the previous person, and you said, I don't know why he made that goal. And it wasn't as important to you. Like hitting 7 out of 7 days on Thursday wasn't important to you. On Monday, it was super important. And for you might find yourself like, okay, getting up when my alarm clock goes off is super important to me at 10 p.m., but at 5 a.m. it means nothing. Or quitting drinking means everything to me whenever my wife tells me in a serious tone, things have to change. And you're like, what does that mean? But then you go to sleep, sun shining the next day, she gives you a compliment, you feel good about yourself. So now you're like, oh, well, maybe my marriage isn't in crisis. I feel good today. There's always guys who will fill out applications for the program for Men of Fire, and there's always guys who will schedule calls. And it's just the way if you're in any type of business, really, it's just part of the game. It's part of what happens. It's numbers. It's a certain amount of people. So let me if you're not in the business, let me really quickly, without going down a wormhole, explain it. So you need to get clients, right? You need to get people to buy your thing if you want to stay in business. So what do? You have to provide value to people. The value I provide is changing your life forever during this time with me. That's what I do. And I can confidently say that, and I don't feel like an egotistical a-hole saying that because it's happened many, many times now. My son just started his very first business 2 weeks ago, a lawn mowing business. He's making more money than he's ever made in his life, which is like $25 for an hour. He walked our little lawnmower up the yard, and he said, "Hey, can I cut your grass for free?" The guy said, "Sure." Nathan cut his entire lawn for free, did a good job. The guy came out, paid him $20, and said, "You did such a good job. Next week, come by again." Nathan cut his grass, and next week got $30. So now Nathan made $50 in 2 weeks, which is a lot more money than he would have made with his chore chart or with his grades or with birthdays and whatever it is. Like if he does this every weekend for the summer, he can leave the summer if he gets a couple more lawns with a couple $1,000 at 11 years old because he's providing value. So Nathan needs to go get more customers. So he could walk up and down the street and put flyers on everyone's door and say, "Hey, go to this website and fill out your name, phone number, and address, and I'll contact you. You fill this out, that proves you're interested." So maybe 10 people fill it out on my street and say they're interested. How many of those people will get on the phone with Nathan? Or will Nathan visit at their house? 5, 6, that's like the application. Then Nathan has to, he might, with the people who filled out the application and he got on the phone with, he might arrange a meeting with them. So, okay, let's arrange a meeting where we can discuss what you want to do with your yard and how much it's going to be. How many, and those people will all say yes. How many of those people will keep the meeting? 3, maybe. So out of 10 people that filled out an application, maybe 3, Nathan will have an actual meeting with them. Okay? If you have a restaurant, it's the exact same thing. If you sell anything to anyone, it's the exact same thing. You have to get people in your door. You have to offer them something. And there's a time when you really need things, and there's a time when you don't. Like whenever you're driving your truck down the highway and you've neglected your oil, and your oil light goes off, and you can feel the gears grind, and you can just feels like it needs oil. You're like, oh my God, I need to get an oil change right now. But let's say, I don't know, something happens, and that you don't get it done that day, and then the next day comes, and the car's feeling really smooth, and just there's a little glitch, and the oil light goes away. You're like, oh, things are pretty good. Maybe I guess I don't need to get my oil changed. And you drive another couple months because in your mind the crisis isn't there. So because the crisis isn't there, you don't address the problem. You've convinced yourself that the problem's gone away because you're not in crisis right now. Really, the crisis is compounding. That's what people do with their weight, with their marriage, with their finances, with alcohol, with drugs, with many problems they have. They say, well, because right now I'm not in crisis, I don't have a crisis. The problem is gone because right now there is no emergency happening. And then for the guy who's overweight, he'll see a post, or he'll read something, or one of his friends will die of a heart attack, and he'll be super motivated. So he'll say, this is the week that I get my together. So I'm going to get a gym membership. I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to start eating healthy. And then he does that for a week. He loses 3 pounds because he's very overweight. So the weight's just flying off. He looks at himself in the mirror in the morning, sunny outside. His wife was nice to him that morning. His kids are happy. Looks at himself in the mirror. He's like, hey, I don't look that bad. He's still 100 pounds overweight, still dying. He says, I don't look that bad. He feels pretty good today. He feels good. He thinks he looks good. The family's happy. So he's like, I could take today off. I earned it. And then that turns into another week. And then guess what? Nothing has changed, right? He's just gained the weight back or possibly more, but nothing has changed about his health situation whatsoever. But because he felt good, he stopped taking action. Like he's changed as a person at that moment. Because he changed as a person in that moment, he doesn't follow through with anything. And that's where many guys find themselves, is they don't know who they are. They have such a weak, flimsy identity. It's like a feather floating in the wind. Today they're motivated, tomorrow they're not motivated. This week they're on fire, the next week they're not, because they have no consistent disciplines that they follow every single day. They have no plan in place. They set no goals for themselves. They have no systems guiding them. That's why systems are so important. I am going to follow these systems and discipline no matter what, so that I can do what I said I need to do regardless of how I feel today. It doesn't matter how I feel today. I'm going to do the thing I wrote down I'm going to do. That's all that matters. You need to get into that mindset. If it doesn't matter what I feel like today, I'm going to do the thing. I run into this all the time when guys, they'll fill out an application for our program, they'll book a call because maybe I posted something that really spoke to them and I revealed a problem that they really need to take care of. I'm like, okay, it's been 10 years. It's time for me to finally do something. And, a guy will book a call on Monday for a call that's on Wednesday. He'll go to sleep, and by Tuesday, he's lost all his motivation because he happens to feel good that day, because the ambulance isn't there, because he's not sitting in a courtroom getting a divorce, because his kids aren't screaming in front of him because he's an alcoholic, because at that moment, there's no life-ending crisis. He loses all motivation. Monday, he had a glimpse into what his life was really like when he applied. He's like, oh, shit is hitting the fan. But one day passed, and most likely people in his family were like, I don't have the energy to do this again. She's like, oh, things are pretty good. And then he's like, yeah. And then I'll get a message from him being like, you know what? I think I can wait another 3 or 4 months. Let's follow up in 3 or 4 months. He's changed after one night's sleep. That's how this affects my business. Whenever that happens. We have tons of people make it through. Like this past May, we have tons of people join from all over the world. But, because I deal with so many people, I see that happen with a portion of them. So you just have to be aware of yourself. You have to be aware of, today I feel like this, tomorrow I feel like this. None of that should affect what I actually want to accomplish. There's a guy who's crushing it. He's down, 40 pounds or something. He hasn't drank in 8 months. His marriage is on fire. His relationship with his kids is going great. He's a business owner. He wants to start another thing. He's just crushing it. So he's making all these goals for himself, and he's just attacking life and pushing himself. He's like, okay, maybe I could do this. Maybe I could do this, because he has so much self-belief. He's built so much proof to himself over the past year that now he thinks anything is possible. So because he's proved to himself day after day after day, month after month, that I can do anything I set my mind to, now he feels confident taking a risk in starting new things. The opposite can also happen, where every single day you're breaking promises and breaking trust with yourself. So now you think nothing is possible. You think you won't commit. You think you're going to fail. You think you're going to screw it up. That can also happen, a negative compounding identity. But this guy is crushing it. So I had to tell him, I said, make your goals now. Write them down, because there will be a day, a month from now, next week, when you just wake up feeling off. You just wake up feeling different. You've got some doubt. You've got some fear for whatever reason. And you're going to question the person who you were a week ago and say, I don't remember that guy. How was I that guy? I don't know. And you're going to say, I don't know if those goals mean as much to me right now as they did last week. You are within your body, looking out, seeing the world. And whenever you think differently about something you told yourself, it makes total sense to you in that moment, because it's you. You say, no, I don't want to wake up, and because it's me, I shouldn't have to wake up. This affects me. Why would I listen? Why would I not do what I want to do right now and obey a memory of me, when this is me right now who doesn't want to wake up? And then, like I said, 5 hours pass, and the you right now has regret that you didn't wake up. That's why when you're motivated, inspired, You need to act. You need to do things. You can't wait until you feel good. You can't wait until everything lines up and because you change. Most people can't stay 24 hours being motivated and having the willpower to deliver on one thing they promise themselves over a 24-hour span. Do not wait. You have to act now. And whenever you are in an elite state of mind, you're feeling inspired, you're feeling motivated, you're ready to crush the world, write down what you're going to do so that it's on paper and it can't be questioned. Write down what you want to accomplish so that when you're not feeling motivated, honestly, it's whenever life is too good. Like right now, it's beautiful outside. It's 60s here in Pittsburgh. It's beautiful. I could just walk around outside and be like, yeah, everything's fine. I don't know why I need to be so stressed about anything. I don't know why I need to push myself today. I could just lay down in the grass all day. And I feel good. Why do I not have to push myself? Because I feel good right now. I should only push myself when I don't feel good so I can get out of this survival mentality. That's what we do. We get caught in a desperation zone. We are in a survival mindset. We feel scared. We're like, I'm going to lose my marriage. I'm going to lose my family. I'm going to lose my body. I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm going to go bankrupt. So then we get super inspired and motivated, and we go crazy, and we start scratching at everything around us. And we're in this desperation survival mindset. And as soon as that survival mode ends, we stop doing the things that got us out of it, which take us back to the pit. So when you find yourself feeling complacent, you need to revisit the goals you made when you were inspired, motivated, and ready to roll. And say, I don't care that I feel differently right now. I'm going to deliver on this thing. I'm going to follow the plan. So that's what you do. You just follow the plan regardless of how you feel. Regardless of whether you feel good today. It's not even feeling bad isn't the biggest enemy. Feeling good is the biggest enemy. It's I feel comfortable today. I did a great job. So because of that, I can stop being disciplined. I can stop the habit that got me to the place where I feel good. I ate healthy and worked out for 4 weeks straight. Now I feel on top of the world, on fire and confident. Because of that, I'm going to drink this weekend and eat a bunch of junk food. Working out, eating healthy are the habits that made me feel the best I felt in decades. So what am I going to do to reward myself? The thing that causes depression and misery. I'm going to stop doing the thing that made me feel so good. But we all make that justification to ourselves. These are the things you must overcome within yourself if you want to break through. It's not how to do the perfect push-up. It's not how to do the perfect bicep curl. It is the lies and stories we believe within ourselves that every single day take us from being disciplined to undisciplined, from lazy to on fire, from dependable to crippling people, crippling ourselves, crippling. The greatest battle you need to overcome is between your ears. It has nothing to do with external information you need to acquire. It has everything to do with the story you are telling yourself about yourself, what you believe about yourself. Why today you can lay off the gas when yesterday you had to push so hard. Why today you don't have to be disciplined when last week it was survival and you had to be disciplined to rip yourself out of that pit. That is what you must understand about yourself, is who am I day to day? What stories do I tell myself day to day? And who am I going to live up to regardless of how I feel? This is why journaling is so important. You write these things down and then you live up to that man. You can track who you are day to day through journaling. You can track your thoughts day to day by journaling. But I'm telling you, just write it down and then live up to that guy. Over anything that I've discovered over the, dealing with guys over the past years and myself, so far, this is one of the biggest things, is understanding ourselves. How to break through in any of these areas. You want to be more present, you want to be more patient, you want to be more joyful and energetic. Okay, let's back up. What are the habits we're doing that are making you feel not present? What are habits that are making you snap? Is it drinking? Is it eating too much? Is it Is it getting too much sleep? Is it getting too little sleep? Is it not, whatever it is, what's the habit? Okay, then what's our perspective that's causing those habits? Let's shift that. What are the excuses we're giving ourselves? What are the lies we're telling ourselves? Fix that, then everything else heals itself.